Hi everyone, my name is Nelson Capote and this is my presentation for our class Technology in the Global Arena. I'm going to be talking about the growing deploying of bioengineering animals in the fast food industry. I have learned that biogenetic engineering and ethics has become inseparable. You cannot talk about the engineering without addressing the ethics. Some will say that have caused us too many health-related issues with the increasing consumption of artificially produced meat. Others will say that we should use this technology to the fullest in order to help our society and our economy despite any ethical question that may be raised. Now, we can control evolution in the laboratory, which open up an infinite amount of possibilities. In reality, there are ethical issues surrounding the topic of bioengineering animals in the fast food industry. Based on the fact that in the past, animals were raised naturally, and because of this reason, they took quite a significant time in reaching the age where they can be consumed. This approach became obsolete when population increased notably and so did the demand of meat. Therefore, the businessman had to incorporate bio and genetic engineering in order to shorten the development process of the organism of all kinds and sizes by sacrificing the consumption of natural meat. After the application of modern genetic techniques, the production increased notably and everything started to look fine, at least in economic terms. But with the passage of time, medical researchers effectively uncovered its unethical side by linking obesity and heart problems with consumption of genetically produced meat. The health problem-related cost of the growing usage of artificially produced meat caused an ethical debate to commence. However, it's often analyzed that the core business concept of economic rationality overweights any unethical view of the operation, which can be seen as ethically correct. The consumer demand of the products is on the rise, and therefore the companies are of the view that people like their products. The ethical action that I will use for the test here is the businessman and their companies which uses bioengineering as part of the business profit. The action being reviewed is whether or not is correct the use of bioengineering food products in our economy. Now, let's take a look at the ethically correct point of view. The poor food quality should be monitored by the government offices and the businessman should not be blamed regarding non-hygienic food products as he or she is primarily responsible and accountable for feeding people that are present in masses, and provision of profit is also corporate sector basic assumption. The investors are bound to think in a binary fashion. They have two logical options that are known as feasible and non-feasible. In the era of 21st century, the new and existing investment options are becoming non-feasible on a growing basis and therefore the professionals are pushed towards sacrificing ethical standards in to make the plans applicable. The businessman lives in a world of limited resources and there is a number of costs involved in choosing to do one thing and leaving the others. Thus, a Kantian approach toward ethics cannot be followed because of boundary rationality. The dominant approach toward ethics in developed and developing economies surrounding the topic of bioengineering animals in fast food industry is the utilitarian way of thinking. The identified ethical approach is developed to protect the interests of business professionals. The current corporate mindset is based on gaining cost advantages through any means, and the abstract idea of ethics, an ethical code of conduct, is considered irrelevant in most number of the cases. However, the government food department of developing nations are being highly engaged in managing and maintaining quality of food products in the community. The advantages of a utilitarian approach toward business lead to growing business and thriving corporate sectors. The government, on the other hand, collects taxation and supposedly uses the fund for the benefit of the society. Well, let's take a look at the unethical point of view. The consumption of bioengineered fast food can reduce biological diversity, alter the composition of species, and even threaten the extinction of various species. The major problem with genetic engineering is the scale of potential for damage. When you interfere with the genes, you are permanently interfering with the natural patterns of our world at the most basic and most dangerous level. For example, a cow has been genetically modified to produce another protein molecule in its milk, As helpful as it could be, this is the type of industry where large factory could house thousands of animals in terrible living conditions, keeping the animals barely alive so they can produce a product. Ranchos have the same similar situation. Furthermore, this practice can be seen as unethical since bioengineered meat depends on designing artificial trajectory to cross all species barriers, greatly increasing the potential for generating new viral and bacterial pathogens. There is an ethical contradiction in all this. The application of Kentian ethics is not ideal for business and corporate sector because it may defy the basic and elementary foundation of the industry. Still, it is important to acknowledge that economic development that is highly dependent on innovation ability of the corporate sector will lift the ethical standard of the particular society. The increased hygiene factor of the edible product will cause their prices to escalate, and because of this reason, people with low income may end up starving. The companies in the bioengineered fast food business are at least fulfilling the immediate needs of the poor, while the supporters of healthy products are in need, publicizing a lifestyle that can only feed the rich and will leave the unfortunate population to die. The utilitarian approach toward ethics is the only idea and applicable design towards incorporating ethical standards in the world's business. The Kantian version of the ethic, with all of its colors and charms, is just a dream that cannot overcome the history and prehistory, power and strength of economic and fiscal rationality that kept on ruling the world for millions of years. The supporters of Kantian approach in business are recommended to increase public awareness about the matters so that the government offices should be moved to take proper regulatory actions. As a solution, the change in food industry is going to take place when the customer do not want to eat substandard merchandise. The lowering demand and increasing public concern about food quality will compel the businessman towards sponsoring research projects that will suggest them ways and methods of decreasing harmful effects of the food on human health. The purpose of the suggested plan of action is to create a win-win model for all of the stakeholders that are directly influenced by the problem. The business community will react and respond to changing market and consumer preferences. The government cannot enforce tight quality control because a large number of consumers is utilizing bioengineering fast food without complaining. Thusly, the government does not have the profound and needed authority to consider presence of low-quality food products as a public issue. Okay, here is my conclusion. Humans only understand economic rationality when doing business, and therefore the supporters of ethical business practices have to incorporate control in order to apply ethical standards in the corporate world. But the ultimate control and power lies within the grasp of consumers, and therefore the customers changing and shifting demands pattern toward healthy products may cause the companies to think about reducing and eliminating dangerous effects of their products on human health. These are some of the references that I used to prepare this analysis. Well, I think that's all. Thank you everybody for listening and have a great day.